Okay, start this. Check me out. Got my hat on. Happy days. So, I'm here just to talk extremely briefly about how you can work and travel as an online English teacher. Something that I met many people doing, but tried to get into a little bit when I was in Thailand. I was having trouble with the job that I already had, which was working on social media. So I traveled all around Asia doing that. I worked so I went through Qatar, uh, Thailand, Hong Kong, Singapore, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia. I worked from like pretty much everywhere that time. Spain, I've worked from Spain twice. Um, and that was great. The pay wasn't that good, but it was fine for us. We lived off that family of three. We shared a room. Yeah, Travis was small, so that was fine. But then I did meet other teachers and people that were teaching with like Dada or whoever, and they were traveling. But I did try to get into it. Wasn't that what's the word? I wasn't like committed enough to learn how to do it properly. And when I came back and I had trouble with my other job and the contract ended really and they just didn't renew it. Um, I had to come back. I broke my foot. I couldn't work. I had Travis, so I had to find something to do. I just become really like bored and lonely being at home on my own. Um, I say on my own. I had Travis there, but it's difficult to speak to a toddler. Um, so I tried to find something to do because I wanted to make money. I want to be able to do what I want to do. So I got really focused and I learned everything I needed to know about teaching online. I read some books, I bought some props, and I changed my CV. There's a layout that I was sent at one point, and I just fixed mine and made the layout better. And I'm actually going to write a post about that, including a download link so that you can use that layout because there's a lot of things that every single company will ask you that's better to have at the top. So I upgraded that. I did some free qualifications. And there was free qualifications you can get online, and I did that. I actually did these quite a while after I started teaching the qualifications, but I just knew I had to get better. So in the beginning, I bought a couple of books, bought some posters and a couple of props, and learned what I needed to know to start interviewing and pass the interviews. And now that I'm an interviewer, I make resources for you to see, and you don't have to like worry about doing all the research that I did. I've put it down in videos. You can see exactly what to do because it took me a while to find the information that I needed to be good at it. So basically, how did I get into it? I applied, really. I knew the name of some companies and I went back to them and I nailed it the first time, got offered a job straight away and started. Um, at first, I worked with Dada. They're really good. They'll hire you without a degree, which is good. Um, that they pay in Chinese yen. So if the currency exchange fluctuates, then so does your pay. So that's a bit rubbish. They also, whatever hours you take as your minimum, so I took 4 because that was the minimum, it's really difficult to get extra hours around that in the beginning. So that's it's not that good way to make money while you're traveling. But the good thing is there's hundreds of companies out there, and I've made a list. Have a look down below to see that. Um, and my favorite company is the one I'm working for. It's iTutor Group. You can see the logo behind me. All you need to work with iTutor Group is the headset, computer, and the logo. The best way to do that is using ManyCam, which is great for travelers, and iTutor Group give you access to ManyCam completely free. So that makes traveling and teaching so easy. You can do things like this. You can do things like this or this. And you've got all your props right there. You don't need to take a whole bunch of props traveling with you. So, ManyCam, great for travel teachers. If you work for iTutor Group, you get it for free. I bought it while I was with Dada. It cost me £100. They have a deal on sometimes teachers can get it cheap. It's a sound investment if you want to travel and teach and chuck your logo behind you wherever you are and not carry props. It's great. So Yeah, what do you need? Just the computer, reliable internet. What's the pay? The pay's really good. They base it on your location. So when you're interviewing, if you can tell them the place where you're based most of the time, for example, you're going to get paid much better if you've got a home base in the UK, US, Canada, Australia, I think. I mean, most European countries are quite good. Eastern Europe gets paid a bit less. If you live in Vietnam full time and you mention that during the interview, then they're going to base your pay on living in Vietnam, I think. But the only thing you can do is interview and see what they offer you. And you can write back and say, hey, that's not livable. Actually, I live here. If something goes wrong, they're not the kind of company that aren't going to do a bit back and forth. If you want to try and change your pay a little, you can. Um, but that's only like if it's completely unreasonable. If you get something that's livable and it's good, you're happy with it, don't try and question it just to try and get more. Like, they know when people are being cheeky, but they're willing to negotiate if they've got your cost of living wrong. So yeah, they're really good. So yeah, they don't really, I don't know how, but they can tell if you spend a lot of time in another place. Especially if you have IT issues and you speak to IT and they like check your computer out for you, they can do that. They might be able to tell that you're not where you said you would be, but they're really good about that. I mean, if you're somewhere else, you could say, hey, I'm on holiday or whatever, I'll be home soon. I mean, it's not a big deal. Um, they don't, I think some people will be upfront and tell them before they go somewhere, but for me, like, I've went to my dad's and things like that, and I've just worked from there. And they knew I was going to Spain. They let me take my work to Spain. They weren't bothered about that. They understand that most of the people that do these jobs move around a little, so it's not a big deal. They do want you to have a wired connection, but that's completely understandable. It just doesn't always happen, and they're not going to like kick off if you're not using it. If your internet's fine, then it's fine. And there are resources in some groups for teachers like us that travel, like lists of Airbnbs where it's really good and stuff like that. So that's kind of all you need to know, really. It's really easy to work and travel if you want to. If you are interested in iTutor Group at all, you do need a degree for iTutor Group, but so many other companies you don't. So if you are interested in working with iTutor Group, you can send me a message and we'll have a chat about it. Yeah. My contact information will be below, so you can send a message if you want to.